Hi, I'm Kat and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing the newbie tag, that is the Authortube Newbie tag, to see if this is a community that I would like to join. Obviously I am a writer and not an author, since I'm not published yet. But yeah, let's hope I find some friends and writing buddies. Let's get started. Question 1. How did you find out about Authortube? I was looking at a load of study with me's, which is a study tube thing where people record themselves studying, and it's the kind of content that I was doing on this channel. And then I realised that a lot of the time I was just writing, and one of the newer videos in the Study With Me community mentioned Authortube, so here I am. Question number 2. What genre do you write in? So I predominantly write fantasy. I have written contemporary romance before. I don't particularly like it. I really like having the ability to build a world around characters that I make. My most recent one is more of an adventure in a fantasy land. I don't really write young adult. I prefer my characters to have some like problems that they're dealing with, like husbands, children, things like that. So it's harder for me to have younger people being the protagonist if I'm like writing a story about losing a child, which, yeah, is pretty dark. But it is definitely fantasy. Question number 3. I don't know why I'm adding my own sound effects. What is your preferred writing style, point of view, and tense? Oh, and category of story. So I tend to write in the past imperfect. So I have a lot of she side placing the thing down. I really don't get on with first person stories. I've written a few of my shorter stories are first person, but I like to be able to kind of like enlarge in the viewpoint and kind of like have the contrast between the narrator and the character, and make it clear that sometimes the narrator doesn't necessarily agree with the protagonist. Like I said, I don't really write young adult, I just write for the adult market. It isn't adult content, so I guess it's new adult. Yeah. Question number 4. Are you a plotter, a pantser, or a plantser? I have no idea what a plantser is. I try and have some kind of vague plot idea for the first few chapters. So my ideas come to me in the form of entire scenes with characters in them. And the characters tend to lead the story wherever they want it to go. I don't have much control over it as an author. I try and kind of like nudge it along the way a bit, but sometimes it just doesn't work the way I planned it. So I try not to plant. I try not to plan. It's this plant. It's confusing me. I try not to plan all of my story. I try and make sure it has an end. Usually by the time I get to the middle, I'm like, what would the end look like? What are they trying to do here? But yeah, whatever that is, maybe that's a pantser, I don't know. Question number 5. Are you a published, self-published, or not, or yet to be published, sorry. It's a very affirming way to put it. I am not published. I have a few works out there on free platforms, but I have not self or published my work. I don't intend on self-publishing only because the things that are not the writing part scare me. So the advertising, marketing, editing, covers, all of that confuses and scares me. But if I don't manage to get my current work out in published land, I might self-publish it, just because I've had a lot of very positive reviews both from alpha and beta readers. So I'm looking forward to putting that bridge off as far as I possibly can. Question number 6. What publishing house, agent, other are you represented by or use? And if you're not yet published, what is your dream publishing house or literary agent? I don't have one. I don't want to confine myself to one. I don't want to like dream of one. I think they're all great. I think there are benefits to being with a smaller house and with a larger house. So I'm trying not to restrict myself. I'm currently pursuing quite small publishers and agents because I'm a small person. I am short, but that's not, because I prefer to have a more personal touch while I'm going into the publishing world. Question number 7. What, see now I forgot what it was and had to put it down. What Authortube related content can you expect from my channel? So I do, like I said, I normally do a lot of study with me or productive day with me, so I'm going to continue doing those probably once a month. I also do bullet journals, so you can have a look at the writing or goal-orientated ones of those. Most of my life is geared towards higher productivity, so I will probably do how to get writing, how to continue writing, making writing a habit, experiencing different genres than you normally read in to flesh out your stuff, but I also just do random vlogs, so I really need to decide on a theme for this channel, huh? Question number 8. When did you start writing? I started writing around 8, I think. I was like properly showing people it when I was 12. I know that for a fact because my granddad remembers me coming and showing him a story, and I've been writing on and off ever since. I don't particularly force myself to write in the kind of like I have periods of off, so I will write a book and when it's finished I will have a period off writing and editing, mainly because I didn't really like editing, or I didn't used to. I am enjoying editing my latest novel so much. I have like post-it notes everywhere with the things I want to put into the video. I have post-it notes everywhere of like the things I want to check are in the novel or expand on in the novel, and I'm really enjoying editing right now. So I think maybe those periods of time where I have a break from writing will be shorter. But yeah. Question number 9. What was the first novel that or story that you wrote? I wrote a story about a girl who had a horse and was dealing with some abusive situations as my first ever story, and then the second ever story I wrote, completely different, was very adult themed, and I was 13, and it was about a group of assassins and their adventures in New York. I've never been to New York. I'm not an assassin, so write what you know is not something that I do. But I also have never owned a horse, so you know. But I might actually revisit the Assassins one. I really liked those characters that I created and the family dynamic that they had. But I wasn't really at a mature enough level to have that story progress anywhere, and I'm glad that I still have it in my consciousness, even though I've lost the actual story. It was over 20,000 words, I think, so I could have actually published it as a novella if I hadn't deleted it from the floppy disk. And yes, it was on a floppy disk. It was that long ago. Question number 10. I'm going to run out of fingers soon. Which authors have inspired you the most? I have to say Neil Gaiman is an incredible author. I love pretty much everything he writes. Even the short stories, I devoured them in like a night. The Monarch of the Glen. I also have to give a huge shout out to the unfortunately deceased David Gemmell, who wrote absolute epics of fantasy like White Wolf. He was one of my first delves into the epic militaristic fantasy, and I absolutely adored his work for a really long time. It's really sad that he won't ever be publishing authors. It's really odd to me because we have all of these ideas and worlds, and then they just have to stop when we do. Whoa. Okay, back up the energy, back up the energy tree there. But yes, those are the 2 authors that I have found really inspiring in my work. Question number 11. See, I got around the fingers thing. Do you schedule your writing, or do you just write whenever you can? So this depends on whether I'm at work or not. So if I'm working on the day, I will write in the morning. So I have a schedule where I get up at 4:45 and then write from 5 a.m. till 6 a.m. when I have to leave to get the bus. And then on the bus from 6:30 till 7:10, I'm usually writing. Although recently I have been talking for the first 15 minutes to a friend of mine. So 6:45 till 7:10. On the weekends or during breaks from work and things like that, I do not schedule my writing, although I am going to try doing that now, because I find that I just want to kind of like ease into the day. I'm not sure that that's appropriate anymore, so I will be writing at the start of the day again next weekend. Question number 12. What do you write on and where do you write? So I write on a MacBook, which I bought explicitly for the purpose. The only reason I bought a MacBook was because it was cheaper than the other laptops that I thought could have the battery life that I needed to write on the bus. It was lighter than the other laptops, and I got the least expensive Mac, and I saved up for a year and a half. So I wrote in a MacBook because I find the keyboard and layout of the keyboard really useful, and I also really enjoy the weight of the laptop. I spend a lot of time lugging this laptop around the place, so the weight was a huge factor in the choice that I made. I really wanted to buy a Chromebook, but we couldn't find one that was cheap enough for what it did. So yeah, I write usually if I'm at home. I write either in the living room on the dining table, living room table, coffee table. I don't know what to call it. It's a table. It's by the sofa. We put our food on it sometimes. Or in the kitchen windowsill, which is where I am now, on this kind of breakfast stool thing, and obviously on the bus. I write on the bus. I usually write on my lap in the bus because the early morning bus doesn't have tables, and there are only 2 tables on the evening bus, so tables are at a premium in this economy. Question number 13. Unlucky for some, the final... Oh, I think that's the right way around. Unlucky for some, this is the final question. What are you most looking forward to now that you are a part of Authortube? I'm actually really looking forward to making some writing friends and getting kind of a glance into the writing community. I'm also looking to find new authors. I'm really now that I live in a different country to England, finding especially secondhand books is quite difficult, but if I can find some maybe self-published authors that I really love, then I'll just buy them on Kobo. Alright, that is all. That is the entire newbie tag. I don't know if this was very interesting, but I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit like or subscribe. These really help me out and let me know that you guys are enjoying the content. Have a wonderful week. See you next week.